Hi everybody, and welcome to this little PowerPoint. It's something I did a few years ago, and I've now learned how I can add some speech to it. So I thought it might be useful for you to have a look at this during this time of crisis, and maybe even do a little bit more research on your own. The archives are fantastic. They go right back to when the club was formed in 1873. And here we have a ticket for one of the doos at the rink down the town there. It's 1876. And the on secretary at the bottom is Henry Kyle, or Harry Kyle, who was an England international. Here we have an early membership card, and you'll see it is for Sunderland Football Club. You may wonder sometimes why SAFC is always written about the soccer team. It's simply because we are at Sunderland Football Club, which later gets the R put in it, Sunderland RFC, Rugby Football Club. And you'll see at the bottom there, it's suggesting that the home ground was actually in Chester Road, up there beside the hospital. And that's where they were from the 1860s up until about, was it 1870s, up until Ashbrooke opened in 1887. And before that, they were on a little site where Yates is now, and they had to move out of there because of the building of the railway. I was sent this one. It was discovered in the archives down at Twickenham there. You can see how big the rivalry was between these two sites, Hartlepool Rovers and Sunderland, which goes back a really long way, way back into the 19th century. And Rovers were quite a side. If you want to have a look up about the history of the barbarians, Rovers are very, very heavily involved in that. You can look at that online. We've got all the club minutes going way back, and they're fascinating. For example, there's a whole lot about when Rugby League came in 1895 and the arguments over whether Sunderland should turn professional, which they weren't interested in at all. If you look here, you'll see the name of a man called Gould. He was a Welsh international, and a lot of his friends gathered together and they bought him a property, and the RFU said, right, he's a professional, don't play against him, and there was rows about it, and all the clubs differed over whether he should be given a testimonial, see the word testimonial or not. Always been a problem in amateur rugby. Going back to the previous one, if you look at the Gould case, you'll find quite a bit about it online. Again here, now then, you'll see at the top here, I've said no leagues in the Union, Inter-County Club Championship. This is the early 20th century. Look at the size of this sign here, and it's Rovers playing against Sunderland, and it is said that, up until the end of the 20th century, that there weren't any leagues in rugby union. Well, I'm quite frankly wrong. Here we have the regulations for the Durham and Northumberland Inter-County Club Championship, which is a league, and they tried this because soccer was becoming so important in the northeast. They wanted to put an element of competition in it to try and get the crowds in. So this is sort of the early 20th century. We have club championships. There were 3 divisions, even first, second and third team were involved. We're looking to have some nice photographs. This was provided by a member of the Muncaster family. It looks like they're playing Durham City. Is it Durham City? Yeah. You can't see many of the Ashbrooke lads actually. The best example of what a shirt looked like is probably the lad on the left in the background there. You can see they're fairly similar to the ones which were worn up until fairly recently. And we've always been an innovating club. We've provided some of the best administrators in the whole of the RFU over the years. And one thing that we did, which is quite interesting, is after the First World War and the loss of life, set up a lot of school leagues. And if you have a look down here, you'll recognise some of the schools still going, but look at the number of games of rugby that they were playing. These are kids, 14, 15 years old. By the end of the 1920s, actually, the apprentices in the shipyards would join in as well, and sometimes there were about 30 teams playing every Saturday in Sunderland. County Cup finals, we've got used to those again recently, although it's not the major County Cup final. This one was Whiting versus Sunderland in the 1920s, yes, 1927 final, which we won. And there was a time in the 1950s when Ashbrooke was used for international trials. In those days, you can see here, they had 2 or 3 trials for the final England side, and it was always between the probables and the possibles there. And you can see this is on the 15th of December 1956, and there's the side, and it is virtually a full England side, the probables there. You see Peter Jackson, Jeff Butterfield there, Dickie Jeeps at number 7, Eric Evans at number 9. There's some great players here. It's interesting as well to notice the sides that they played for. You might want to have a look at some of these players. They're very interesting. We've always been silly. Yes, this is some of the first 15. The one person I think I recognise is Jamie Boyd's dad on the left hand side. I think that's David Boyd. Excellent rugby player and great friend of Mike Weston. Played for Durham with him many times. Weston, of course, England and British line. Here's a funny little fellow, used to appear in the Echo, and depending on whether the first 15 won or lost, he had a smile or he had a bit of a grimace there. I don't think he was very happy with the results, this particular one. We have another side at Ashbrooke, and I'm not quite certain whether it's still tied into the club, but for many years it was, and that was called the Dolphins. It was a kind of barbarians, set up by Hartley Elliott, international referee, and a man with links both with Durham University and our club, essentially first with our club, for who he played when he was quite young in the 1920s. And the Dolphins drew upon a lot of Scottish internationals and people like that. And you can see here that the centenary of the club in 1973 was celebrated with a game between Sunderland and the Dolphins at Ashbrooke. Again, more recent final here, Blaydon versus Sunderland there in 2008. And as many of you know, we've had quite a few successes in recent years, in the early years of the 21st century. And here is a competition which I entered there to get your club history published. And I must have made a good argument, because the result was we were able to publish the book One Among Many. I think you may be able to still get a copy on eBay. There's none left elsewhere at the moment. It's been very well received, and there's some nice comments on it there, bringing rugby club's history, bringing rugby club past to life there. Was one of the articles written about it. And there's my good self there, a bit younger there. These have come down from the wall, but they are still in the club. I've stored them away. They are a serious collection, a very rare collection of shields of all kinds of sporting clubs, but mostly rugby clubs. Difficult to work out the value of them, but they are unique. And they were set up by a man called Maxwell Diaz, who he was an actor, lived in the Ashbrooke area, and he worked for Tyne-Tees Television. And older people may remember he actually used to do the epilogue at midnight when in the old days when the television station closed down. He used to do a little prayer and say good night. Right, now we've got some photographs now from the archive. This is a picture of the very first side, and you'll notice the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. only 13 there. At the front is Harry Kyle, a Durham and Sunderland's very first England international. The two missing are the Lane brothers, who were actually founders of the club. They weren't there because they were at school. They were away at school, and the guy with whom they played at school was one of the founding members of the RFU. We'd gone to the very first meeting. So that's the link. There's a link between the club and the founding of the RFU in the 1870s. More on that next year when there's big celebrations about the RFU. There's the names there of the people, the 13, as it says at the bottom there. The two Lane boys are absent. There's a couple of Kidsons there who were local solicitors. And there's 3 cows in it. That's the way it worked in those days. A lot of relatives in the same side. There they are. One of my favourite photographs, hand tinted photograph of the very, very first winners of the Durham County Cup. Yeah, people with the caps on are Durham internationals or England internationals there. You can see Henry Kyle at the front there with his England cap on, and middle left there on the end is one of the Lane brothers, and the other Lane brothers, the one with the sideburns, is beside the cup there. You know where sideburns came from? It was from a general there, Unionist general in the American Civil War, whose name was Burnside, and he had these remarkable whiskers, and they were known as sideburns. There's another 1880s side there. Noticed it's taken there in the studio somewhere in Sunderland. And this one here. The remarkable thing, I like this photograph. If you look at it carefully, you can almost see people you know in it. You know? One or two people there look like modern players. The lad in the back in the middle there, with the kind of the blondie hair and the lighter coloured shirt on, very interesting. His name was Parker, and he played for the Barbarians. We live in the Elms. His house was just round the back of ours. Yeah. Tom Parker? Maybe worthwhile looking him up, Googling Barbarians. This is one of the best sides we've ever had. It's got two internationals and a British Lion in it there. I'll probably I've got another PowerPoint on our England internationals, which I'll put out later. I mean, it's instantly recognisable, the things there which haven't changed. I think the steps and maybe the door and the railings. This is probably about 1903, 1904. Yeah, similar side again there. Trying to spot some of the people there. Yeah, the guy in the front there, second in from the left, with his arms folded, he was the first person to score a try in England against the All Blacks. He was playing for Durham at Hollow Drift. And here we are. This is quite a sad picture really, because a lot of these lads didn't make it through the war. In the back row, the second in with the suit on, he was killed. The guy standing just in front of the pillar there beside him, he was killed. The chap, if you go to the other column there, second in with his arms folded, he was killed as well. And nearly all these people here have their stories told in the online First World War book I did. If you want a copy, just email me and I'll send you an online copy of it. Most of the people on this photograph, as I say, that their stories are told in there. There's the County Cup winners in 1928. The captain there is Roy Wilson, who was in the Royal Flying Corps RAF in the First World War and got a medal for bravery. Second from the left at the front there is Hartley Elliott, who later became an international referee. And the very tall guy at the back, just in front of the window, Alan Spence, played against played for Durham Northumberland side. Had a really good game in the 1930s against the South Africans or the All Blacks, and he was killed in the Second World War in a plane crashed on its way back from a mission. The last time we won the big county cup, really, this was in 1959. You can see Jamie Boyd's dad is second from the right on the front row, and in the back row, right over on the left there with the dark curly hair, is Harry Wilson. And Harry is there because he hasn't got any boots. You can't see his boots because he's forgotten them. On the front, just in front of him, is Ken Witherington, who is a club legend, referee, PE teacher in South Shields. Now we're starting to recognise people here. This is a strong side from the 1970s. You've got Alan Towers on the front row there. The two Nicholson brothers. You can still see Peter wandering around the park with his dog. Even more recognisable, I think most of you know most of the people on this particular picture there. There's Mickey Brace, Richie Rea, Graham Edmondson, one of the Towers boys, Bertie Ostrowski, Stevie Harrison there, Nicky Simpson, Watty, poor old Herbie there, Graham Waddell still gets into the club, Jamie Boyd there, and Hodgie on the left there, plus one or two others that you'll recognise as well. And here we have the minis on our tour of Ireland. There's myself at the back there on the right there with Mr. Wilson beside me there. You spot Stewie Hutch in the back there, and if you look carefully you'll see quite a few people you know. There's Peter Harrison's in there, there's John Gregson and Paul Gregson, and a variety of others that you'll recognise. And here we have a side from the 1990s. Again, you'll see Peter in there, and John Gregson, and Graham Richardson there on the right hand side, and others. Not many of them still playing rugby there, but that was a good side.